We have one more YouTube thumbnail to do. This time it's going to be for a graphic design how-to tutorial channel, which many of you, maybe in a few years, will create your own. So here we go. It's for this guy named Phil, totally made up character, but it's going to be Master Graphic Design with Phil is all the necessary requirements or necessary text to put on the YouTube thumbnail. This is going to be a how-to video. And it's going to be this new graphic designer is launching a channel so he could teach others his newly learned skills. He wants to feature geometric shapes and high contrast colors and also a headshot of himself to build brand awareness. So we have this headshot of Phil. I found this on Pexels. You just have to type in headshot man, profile pic, headshot. You're going to find so many others. I actually encourage you to find your own. You don't have to use the same one that I use. And of course, I used to provide links, but since photographers constantly put on new photos, but also take them away, I no longer have active links to these because those links can easily get broken if a photographer removes his photo. So please use any photo that you'd like. So this one, I'm just going to do a select and mask, or I could just do select subject. Sometimes that makes it better. So you can see how I might need to go in and refine that selection. So let's bring him in. So he's looking straight at us. So what I thought we would do, instead of putting him on the left or the right, what if we put him in the center? And let's not zoom out so much on him that we don't emotionally connect with him or really see him, because remember, these thumbnails are super duper tiny. So let's maybe try to find a nice look right about here. So he's right there in the center. We can toggle all these off and we can get to work. First thing is first, we want to get the basic layout planned out. So we have him in the middle. Where are we going to put the headline? So we need Master Graphic Design with Phil. So with Phil may not be super big because needs to be super big because he's already pretty much overcoming the thumbnail. So maybe make this a little bit smaller and put it down here. Let's do Master Graphic Design bigger. That's the main goal of the video, is to master graphic design. So we can have this all perfectly left aligned straight if we wanted to. You know, that even looks good just like this, and we made everything kind of a left alignment. Put them on like a yellow background, make that thing pop. But we're going to try something a little bit different. Let's add some angle to our typography. We haven't had a chance to do that yet. So let's do that. I'm going to select all of my typography. Just selected, held down Shift, and I got all of them selected. So Master Graphic Design is now all selected. We're going to go up, this is something new I haven't taught yet. We're going to go up to Edit, all the way down to Transform. And we did that when we flipped the image horizontally, but we have a few other things we can do here. So you notice that some of this is grayed out. That's because right now that's live text. It's not rasterized. So there's some of these that you're not going to be able to do unless it's rasterized or it's not a smart layer. That's okay. We just need skew for now. So we're going to do skew, and this is going to allow us to skew the text. See this upper right transform box right here? I'm going to click and hold and just drag it, and I'm able to instantly add angle to my text. I can also drag it down. I can drag it all sorts of ways, but I'm just going to do a simple drag up. So I thought it would be neat to kind of also move these so they're not all perfectly aligned, kind of going against the grain here. And let's add a little breathing room between the typography. And we can even do outlines. So let's go ahead and double click. Let's go ahead and have our master selected right here. Let's double click. Let's do a stroke. There's stroke. And let's make it, we have to figure out what our final colors are going to be. Let's just do kind of like a dark gray for now, just kind of generic, because I'm not sure if I want to stick with blue or not. Click OK, and then we reduce the fill. We did this a little bit earlier in the course. And we can even double click again back into our stroke options, and we can do, instead of the outside, we can do center. That looks a little bit better. And let's add a little spacing between the typography. We don't want all that to get in the way. So let's add a little spacing right here in Properties panel, add a little bit of spacing. And I can go back in, that might be a little too thick. So let's do 3. And let's say I want to do the same thing to design. Do I have to double click that and add a stroke and reduce the fill? all over again? No, we can save with layer styles, which we will do in the next project. I'll go over that again from scratch. So let's save this layer style so I don't have to do it over again. So I'm going to go right here. I double clicked into my layer styles panel. I'm going to click on new style and I'm going to type in outlined and just have everything clicked. Just don't even touch anything. Just click OK. And now it's saved. So now I can highlight design and apply that layering style. So where do I find that layering style? How do I apply it? You have a separate panel. So we're going to go up to Windows. You make sure your libraries are selected and it's saved right here in your libraries. If you go right here to outlined, in older versions of Photoshop, there's a separate style panel right here that you can select as well. It's also in your libraries panel. It's also in your styles panel. So if you open up your styles panel, you'll see it right here as well. And right, if you go down all the way down here, you should find the one that you just saved. And there it is. There's the one. It says called outlines. Now I don't have to do that again. So now if I want to do the same thing with this, let's add that same angle. Edit. Transform. Let's skew it. And there's an angle here that you can type in. If you knew the angle that is, you could just type that in so you can match the angle. And so let's make width outlined. So they said they want to add geometric shapes to this. So here's the thing. It's very left heavy. Let's balance this out. Let's bring something over to the right. Let's bring over with fill. And so it kind of reads left to right and it balances it out a little bit. So let's add some of those geometric shapes that they requested. This will be a great lesson in creating geometric shapes in Adobe Photoshop. So we have our shapes tool. That's the most obvious thing to use. We have a triangle tool. Let's just hold down shift, create a simple filled in triangle. So let's just right now stick with really high contrast primary colors of red, yellow, and blue. So let's try that blue. And let's duplicate that. Just going to hold down Option and drag, and let's make this a little bit different. First of all, let's hold down Shift and go to the transform. Let me go ahead and zoom in a little bit so you can see. Go ahead and transform this. So I'm going to hold down Shift and I'm going to rotate this and click it where it's doing the opposite direction. And instead of a fill, let's null that out. Let's make this a stroke and a different color. Let's make it red. And increase the stroke. Just creating some basic geometric shapes. And let's add a sense of layering. We can put this behind the man. So drag him below the man. Let's go ahead and name him. We can create a circle. Let's do a yellow circle. Let me get the ellipse tool and now I can make it yellow. There's yellow. I'm just going to click and hold and put that behind everything. Get my move tool, move it down. So let's say I want to duplicate the circle and I want to make it smaller, and let's make it just a stroke. Use the same recently used color, null that out, make this thicker, and let's say I just want a piece of that to show. So let me get my rectangle marquee tool. This is basically your selection tool. I'm going to click and hold, and I'm just going to select what I want to show. That's all I'm doing is I just made a selection. Now I'm going to go to my layer. It's going to be Eclipse, and sometimes I have to toggle this on and off to find out what layer it is. There it is. I have it selected, and now I can just click on Layering Mask, and it's going to take that selection and make it show just what was selected. So I'm just going to do Add a Layering Mask. Just like that, I created a cool little shape. So don't worry, we're going to do that again. Let's do that again with the circle. Let's duplicate. Let's go ahead and duplicate this one, and I'm just going to remove, delete the layering mask. Let's do it, but do a semicircle. So I'm going to get the marquee tool, do about halfway point, make sure I have that layer selected, and then go down to layering mask, and boom, I got a semicircle. And I can make that semicircle red, put it over here for balance. We want to balance color, but we also want to balance shape and form. Let's go ahead and make sure I have my layering mask selected. That's why I'm like, I want to select a color, or I want to change the color. It's just giving me layering mask options. Make sure you click back on that layer. Easy mistake to make. Click on red. Now we just have to find balance with everything. I want to have something kind of, another thing overlapping on top of him. Let's create a little pill shape. Let's get a line tool. So it's getting my line tool. Gonna click and hold, creating a simple pill shape. I don't want to fill, I want a stroke, a red stroke. Make it bigger, and I want to add some nice round caps to that. So I'm going to scroll down, and it's going to give me a chance to round the cap. And what I'm going to do, instead of having to do that over again, I'm just going to drag and create a copy, and drag and create a copy. If I ever want to change this, or change the length, I can select my line tool again, and it allows me to change like the length. So if I want to make this next one, I get the move tool, select this one, line tool, and then it allows me to shorten it or make it longer. So I want to put one on top. Let's put that one on the bottom. Dragging this down. Just kind of looks more layered that way. Let's make him a semicircle like this. And bring that on top. There's no science to this, it's just what feels right, what balances out right. Let's say I want to add a drop shadow to this blue triangle to add depth. I can double click right here in this empty area. And you'll notice, just for some reason, I don't see all my options. If this ever happens to you, click down here to this FX, which is basically effects, and then just click on show all effects. So sometimes when you save like a layer style, sometimes it'll act weird like this. If you ever see this, just click down here and do show all effects, and then you'll get it all back. So drop shadow, make this real low opacity. I don't want this super strong. And let's put some distance in it too. If you want a nice clean flat design, you can always toggle off the drop shadow and see how that looks.